For new supervisors, there are two required courses at a minimum. The first is the USAF Supervisor's Course. This is a basic introductory course that covers the mechanics of supervision. So how do you deal with individuals going from an employee role to a supervisor's role? It's a basic how-to nuts and bolts. It doesn't get into the HR portion at all. It's just, how do you coach people? How do you develop them? How do you deal with different issues, conflict in the workplace, building teams, that sort of thing. So it's basic hands-on. That course is followed by two additional ones. If you supervise just civilians, there's Civilian Personnel Management course. This is more of the HR side of supervision. It covers how do you hire an employee, how do you write core documents. If you have a problem with an employee from the HR standpoint, where do you go? Is it a labor relations issue, an employee management relations issue? If you want to change an employee's duties, what's involved with that? It's really the HR focus on the program. And then there's a third course, which is the Military Personnel, MPMC, Military Personnel Management course, or MPMC. That course is tailored for supervisors of military personnel. Generally speaking, if you're a retired military, you don't need that course. But if you're a civilian and you've never supervised civilians, what it basically does is coaches you on how to interact with the military, make sure that you're doing things right, and that their career is going to be taken care of, because they have different requirements to be able to progress. And when you write, for example, an annual appraisal on a military member, the panel that's going to be reviewing that person for a promotion down the road is going to be looking for key words and phrases that if you don't have, you're going to harm the person even though you think you've done a great job for them. Once you're assigned to a supervisory position, you'll get a robot letter, I believe it is, that's sent from AFPC. It says, congratulations, you've been selected for a supervisory position. It talks about your probationary period, and it directs you to a COP. The link is provided in the course, and you're required to go out and sign up for that training. It's a straightforward proposition. You're also required, you'll get another letter from your HR department stating that you understand you're on a probationary period, which lasts for a year. And part of that process is, of that probation period, is completing the required training. So you're expected to go out and do USAF supervisor course, CPMC and MPMC, if they're required based on the position and your background experience. The supervisor has two significant roles when it comes to training and development. One is they have to support the mission, and the other one is that they have to support their employees. Supporting the mission means that the employees are trained and able to do the job that's required, so that whatever the mission is, whether it's getting a plane off the ground or maintaining the plumbing fixtures on an installation, they're going to work, and that ultimately pulls together and supports the whole mission. On the employee side, you have to be looking at your staff and say, okay, this is Joe. Joe is going to be with us for the next 20 years. What do we need for his career progression? What does he need to know to become a master plumber or a master mechanic or whatever have you, an HR specialist? And how are we going to get that person up to the level of competency to allow him to progress, whether it's going on for a promotion or just within his career field, fully developing out and becoming a fully qualified journeyman, and then maintaining his competency over time. The policies that deal with employee development, the big one is the Government Employees Training Act, and basically that provides the authority to spend government funds to ensure that employees are trained to develop and to support the mission of the agency, whether it's the government or the Air Force or whatever you want to call it. There's a wealth of sources of information, and that's probably the biggest handicap that you're going to have, is deciding what's best for you. The first thing I like to suggest is that you talk to your supervisor, because he's been there before you. He probably had your job before he got promoted. There's, as I say, a wealth of resources. There's a Supervisor Resource Center, which is available through Knowledge Now, that provides all sorts of information. It really depends on how you like to access the information. SRC is great. You can go out and it'll point you to vignettes that will address where you've got senior leaders talking about issues. They have curriculum developed for specific instances. If you like that format, it's great. You can go out to the CPMS website and find a host of information. It's searchable by topics. You can go to AFPC and search using their search engine. You can go out to the Air Force portal. You can look at the Force Development site. There's all sorts of places out there. Really, the question is finding what format is best for you.